Hi, this is Stan. Well, welcome back to a much overdue update and quick look at my HO Erie Lackawanna Railroad. If you haven't seen any of my other HO Railroad videos, this is a little slice of the Erie Lackawanna. It kind of reminds me of my childhood home. I grew up by the tracks just outside of Binghamton on the Erie Lackawanna. And so this is a small shelf type layout. It's only about 35 feet long in the main line, and it was built primarily to just run some trains and have some switching fun. There are no loops, so trains don't go around in a circle. They go from point to point, and it's primarily set up not really for photography. As you can see, it's not super brightly lit. It's set up just for me to grab a controller and run some trains. At one end, this is kind of the outskirts of Binghamton. And then we cross over a little bit of the Susquehanna River to a little town named Conklin. And this yard is the center of most of the activity. And then around Great Bend, Halstead area. Little station there. And this is my humble homage to the Tunkhannock Viaduct. Clark Summit. And around the curve to the Lackawanna Mine and interchange for Scranton and New York. Probably the biggest change recently was that I removed the hobby workbench from this area, which was really handy while I was building most of the main parts of the layout. Moved that to the garage and set that up out there and put some bookcases in here, which are a little more fitting for the room. Operations are not handled by a computer or anything like that. I have some simple car cards with destinations for each piece of rolling stock, and cars are on hold, then they're turned around in the box. Pretty simple operation. In fact, I probably need to do a video on a sample operating session here real soon. I have the NCE DCC system, power to all the rails, and that's how I started out, although in the last year I have switched over now to a battery operated system, what they call dead rail, and I've got 2 of the Stanton S cabs up and running. And one thing I've done recently is I've added these neck straps. So it is really helpful, especially for those moments when you need 2 hands. So let's head out to the workshop and I'll just show you how I tricked out these cabs. So I want to be able to start with a hole on the bottom of the cab here. Then I'm going to make a small loop with this shoelace, and that will allow me to clip on the neck strap. So let's get started. Well, let's start by pulling the back off. I think there's 4 screws here. And then I put a piece of blue tape on there so I wouldn't scratch things up. Found the center and got busy drilling the hole. And I measured it with the components on the inside to make sure that there was room. Yes, that is a hole. All right, so taking the shoelace, tied a little quick knot in there, and we're going to hit it with a couple of drops of super glue. zap it with some accelerant. Being sure not to use my wife's sewing scissors, we cut the tails off. And the glue's not completely dry, obviously, there. And there we have it, a tiny little loop. The knot's on the inside, keeps it from coming through. And we're all ready to hook up a strap. So I paid big bucks for a controller model who could come out and demonstrate how it hangs around the neck and is ready to go. Well, one thing I really love about this S-Cab battery power dead rail setup is that there is never any hesitation or failure to move on the part of any of my locomotives that I've converted. They just work every single time I go to operate. No problems at all. It's effortless, and I don't worry about having locomotives getting stuck and hesitating on the track. In the last year, they have worked every single time. It's probably worth noting how I have the track lit. It's not very bright, so it's not ideal for photography, but then my modeling is not that detailed for close-up photography anyway. But here's what I decided to do on the lighting. I put a little shield on the front. You can see it's taped and zip tied on there. But this is actually made out of yellow plastic, and that induces a little bit of a yellow hint to the light, which was completely blue, blue-white. So it actually kind of lowered the temperature of the light just enough to make me happy anyway. And the other unique thing about the light is that you can see it's mounted actually in front of the layout. I've tried lighting before that was directly above the layout, and that means that everything in the front is shadowed. But I definitely, because my layout is so small, I didn't want to lose a whole bunch of scenery on the front of the layout to shadow. So you can see even the front of these buildings and rolling stock and everything else is well lit. That's because the lights are a little bit in front of the actual surface of the fascia. And yeah, every once in a while, maybe your head will touch the light or whatever, but for me it was worth it. Here you can see an old out-of-service boxcar on some abandoned rail. The lighting serves me well right now. It's not super bright. It doesn't hurt my eyes when I'm actually walking around operating on the layout. Not ideal for photography, but who knows, maybe in the future someday I'll go with dimmable LEDs or maybe do an upgrade on my light bar. Well, the number 6 is pulling a small cut of cars over the Susquehanna into Binghamton. But I better let you get on with your day. Just a quick update for today. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you right here next time.